Hey everybody, it's Fancy. Welcome to my channel and thanks so much for coming and hanging out for day 21 of 31 days of Halloween. That's where I come to you every single day during the month of October with some spooky Halloween related content. Yesterday, if you missed yesterday's video, I did like a quick little a face paint of like this bird, tree, moss covered feather thing. If you missed that, it'll be linked down below and also up in the cards here, but I gave myself a bit of an injury. I glued on a lot of moss, so I don't know if you can see the extra highlighted smile line here, but it's got some Neosporin. So since I needed to kind of take it easy on my face today, I figured I would take one of my friend's suggestions. My friend Lupita, she suggested, why don't you read some like spooky stories? So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna read some spooky stories from Reddit today. So I found an article on mydomain.com. It's like a collection of Reddit's spookiest, scariest, adults only stories. I haven't read any of them, so you're gonna be getting sort of my genuine reaction as I go through and read these. So if you're interested in that, then keep on watching. The first story is called Doppelganger. It was posted as told by Reddit user QuietVoice4846. Here we go. Late at night, I usually go to the bathroom multiple times. But for the past 4 days, every time I go to leave, I can see myself still standing in the mirror from the corner of my eye. It is like the other me is watching me leave the bathroom. It terrifies me to the point where I almost run out without looking directly at the mirror. I never told my husband about it because I didn't want to acknowledge it out loud. Okay then. Earlier today I took a nap in our bed whilst he sat in the chair next to it watching TV. When I woke up, he told me that he had seen me sit up and crawl backward to the edge of the bed and stand in front of our bedroom door from the corner of his eye. He thought it was weird that I got up like that because I'm in the last month of my pregnancy and I can't really move so well without it hurting, so he tried talking to me. When I didn't answer, he looked at the door to find me not there and still sleeping in bed. I got really creeped out and I finally told him about what I've been seeing in the bathroom. He thought it was creepy as well but didn't want to really talk about it anymore because he thinks it will give whatever it is power or energy. I have no idea what it wants or why we both saw it. That's it? That's it? That's pretty freaking creepy. They say these are supposedly like real stories that people submitted, like that actually happened to them. That's freaking creepy. Do you ever get that? Like sometimes I get that, like where I think I see something. We have a rose bush outside of our kitchen window, and sometimes when I'm in the kitchen cooking or whatever, it's really tall and it'll like wave back and forth, and sometimes like it just looks like somebody's walking past the window, and it gets me all the time. But I don't know that I've ever had like a mirror thing or anything like that. I've had like weird experiences, but not like where I like have physically seen like a ghost or a ghostly apparition or anything. So that's pretty freaking creepy. That's pretty freaking creepy. Next one is called Haunted Hotels. Haunted Hotels, as told by Reddit user Bright Eyes 10 posted this. When I was 15, I traveled to Europe with my family. Must be nice. We stayed in Ettal, Germany, in a small inn for a few nights. My parents had a double bed on the second floor. My sisters had the double bedroom next to theirs, and I was lucky enough to have a single room all to myself at the far end of the hall. When we went to check into our rooms, as soon as I entered the hallway our rooms were in, I remember almost feeling as though I walked into a wall of bad energy. I just felt so unnerved and uneasy in that hallway, but I passed it off as an overactive imagination. I slept the first night without any issues other than waking up a few times. The next morning at breakfast, one of my sisters mentioned feeling really uncomfortable in the hallway, almost as if the air was crushing. It unnerved me even more that I wasn't the only one who felt weirded out. Plus, she was an adult at the time, so it further cemented in my head that the wing of the hotel was odd. Later that night, I'm sleeping peacefully when at about 2 a.m., I'm woken up by something ripping the covers off of me and being jerked about 2 feet towards the end of the bed by my ankle. At first, I thought someone had broken into my room because when I turned towards whatever had grabbed me, a huge looming black shape was visible in the darkness, like a man was in my room. I frantically flipped the light on, only to have there been nothing there. The window was locked from the inside, there was no one in the closet or the bathroom, and my room was also still locked from the inside. I stayed up the rest of the night scared, playing Cookie Mama on my DS. That takes me back to my exorcist experience. Woo! The next morning we're at breakfast and my sister mentions that she was up half the night because she thought she saw a person silhouetted against the wall of the room. But when she turned on the light, there was no one there. It was just a bizarre and creepy experience. We checked out that day, so I didn't get to experience anything after that, but it still freaks me out to this day. I freaking bet! Jerked her to the bed, oh, it might have been a guy, I don't know the gender, but jerked him to the end of the bed. Whoo! Freaking out. Whoo. I don't know that I've ever had a haunted hotel experience. I don't think I have. Thank God. Whew. Okay, this next one is a little shorty. It's called Shh, as told by Reddit user Fuzzy Bandits. When I was a teenager, I used to babysit my cousin Alyssa. She was little, maybe almost 2, maybe a little older, old enough to say sentences. I'm giving her a bath before bed when she looks out into the hallway and gets a terrified look on her face and starts crying. At this moment, my aunt's Pomeranian starts going nuts as well, barking and growling into the hallway. The atmosphere in the room became uncomfortable, and I started getting scared. I took her downstairs from the 3rd floor in the townhouse to try and calm her down. I asked her what was wrong, and she said something along the lines of, "The man with the black eyes was there." When I continued to pry, she looked up at the 2nd floor stairs, her eyes getting big, and looks at me, bringing her finger up to her mouth and said, "Shh," while shaking her head no. And that's the end of the story. That's like where it ends. That's freaking creepy, man. So like little kids are intuitive. I fully believe that like little kids, like babies like that, toddlers are intuitive and they see stuff. Okay, next story we have The Trickster, as told by Reddit user Scarlet Beeswax. I lived in this house with a basement, and every time I walked up the stairs, I would get this weird, creepy goosebumps feeling on the back of my neck. It didn't make me uneasy to go down the stairs or be in the basement. My craft room was down there, and I spent a lot of time there. Relatable. After a while, I would have items I was using disappear when I would look away from them. I would search and search, and one day I got frustrated, and to no one in particular I said, "Arrgh! Can I please have my scissors back?" I had just looked under the pile of new mail, and when I turned my head, there were my scissors on top of the pile of mail. I talked to my neighbor, and she told me that the original owner of the house was a jolly old man who loved to prank people, and that he had fallen coming up the stairs one day and died. I think the goosebumps were him trying to tell me to be careful. And every time after that, when something would disappear, I would politely ask for it back, and it would appear in a place that I could not have missed it before. Thanks, old man. It was fun. That was so sweet. That was cute. I love, like, fun, like, I'm gonna cry. That's so sweet. I love, like, uplifting ghost stories where it's like, yeah, I'm a friendly ghost. I'm here, like, haunting you. That was adorable. Oh, my God. I'm such a ninny. The idea of just like a fun, friendly, like pranky ghost that like takes your things and hides them from you. Oh my God. That's so sweet. That's so sweet. Unexpectedly warm-hearted content today. Final story that came from Reddit is family reunion, as told by Reddit user Big Holla. One day when my daughter was 2, oh God, another baby story. We were having a typical terrible twos moment. She was throwing a bit of a tantrum for about 5 to 10 minutes and we couldn't get her under control. I know those days. At some point, she rather suddenly stopped and started staring at the wall. She then started lightly giggling. It was weird. One second she's crying and screaming, and the next she is smiling and happy. I mean, that's babies for you. Then she starts saying, "Funny lady," over and over. We asked her who she saw, and she pointed to the wall and again said, "The funny lady." When we asked her to describe who she saw, she described my deceased grandmother. I mean, exactly described her. She'd never met her, and I don't think had ever even seen a picture. Not that a 2-year-old could remember a picture. I'm not much of a believer in the paranormal, but I know for sure that my daughter got a chance to meet my mom, and that makes me happy. Well, that's sweet. When I told this story to my parents, they didn't seem as shocked as I was. Wait, hold on. My daughter got a chance to meet my mom. When I told my story to my parents, that doesn't make any damn sense. Okay, deceased grandmother, and then, whatever. Okay, they messed up in their storytelling. Well, that's garbage. Anyway, so actually meet my grandma, and that makes me happy. When I told the story to my parents, they didn't seem as shocked as I was. When I tried to get a response from them, they looked at me and said, I guess you don't remember that you met your deceased grandfather when you were 3. The same exact thing happened to you 30 years ago. Okay. Okay then. That's kind of cool though. That's not like scary. I thought that was going to be scary. So I was wrong. There's one more story. It's called The Guardian, as told on Snap Judgment. I'd been on the phone with my then boyfriend, and he said something that made me think he was a chauvinistic, not nice person. And I remember telling him that if he knew me at all, if he knew anything about me, he knew exactly where I was going to go. And I hung up the phone and I got in my car. I drove to the park. The sun was kind of down below the tree line, but it wasn't dark yet. And I pulled into the parking lot. I thought it was weird that there were 2 cars pulled side by side and talking to each other. When I got out, the guy in the truck just stared at me in a horrible way. You know, when someone just looks at you like they're looking through you as if you don't exist. I thought, well, this is weird. It's late and no one's even here. And then I thought, whatever, they're leaving. I don't care. I have my own problems. I only took my keys with me because I didn't want a big purse banging around. I headed across the field, which you have to cross through to get to the woods because there's no trail. I was taking my time and calming down, and then I realized it got really quiet. I didn't hear the birds and the squirrels anymore. I just heard something big moving through the woods. I thought to myself, maybe it's a dog? And then I heard the voices. The first voice is a male's voice, and he said, I know I saw her go in this way. She couldn't have gotten that far. Then the second voice comes, and it's quieter, and it says, shh, she'll hear you. Whew. Okay, so there are 2 men in the woods, and they're looking for something, obviously. This girl is an idiot. And I kept thinking, it must be their dog. They must have lost their dog. And then I thought, they wouldn't try to sneak up on it. I stood there frozen because that's the kind of person I am. I could hear them getting closer to me. And I don't know how long I stood there waiting for them to get to me, but I was completely frozen. It was distorted, like if you heard someone walking through a closed door or talking underwater. You could understand what they were saying, but the voice wasn't right. It wasn't in my head because it had a volume and a pitch that changed that my thoughts definitely don't do. I could almost feel where it was coming from. It was behind me and a little above me, like it was taller than me. It just said, go to the river now. I don't know if I was more scared of the fact that there's some disembodied voice or a person talking to me, or there are 2 men in the woods. I listened to the voice because I didn't really have other options. I took off toward the river. I made a ton of noise because I was just going as fast as I could, and the voice came back and said, no, quietly. I got to the river and jumped down the embankment. I squished myself against it, squeezing down into the smallest, tightest ball I could. The voice kept telling me to stay, and I just sat there, hoping whoever was in the woods was going to leave and that I wasn't having some kind of breakdown. And I kept hearing them moving through the woods, and I could tell they had split off. And as I sat there, the voice just kept telling me to stay and quiet over and over again, like it was trying to comfort me. I could hear what sounded like someone was right above me, and if I leaned out, they could see me. But I had to look. I just tilted my head up just a tiny bit, and I could see the tips of these construction boots hanging over the edge. And I could see, hanging next to them, this dirty old rope just swinging next to them. Swinging. I don't think I even thought anything. I was so scared. I just tried to not breathe. It felt like hours, but I know it couldn't have been that long. The voice even was completely silent. There was nothing but me hearing this man breathing. He started to walk away at some point, and the voice kept telling me to wait. So I waited. And finally the voice said, go, now to the field. Go now. It was screaming at me so loud, so I ran through the woods and just got out to the field, far, far from the cars in the street. It was getting dark and I could see the parking lot, but it was so far away. I'm running and I start hearing footsteps running. And first, they're farther away, but they're so much faster than I am, barreling after me. And there was nothing. I fully expected to see at least one of the men there, but it was silent. The only thing I could think was that the footsteps must have belonged to the voice. And I hear it again screaming at the top of its lungs that I need to run right now. And the footsteps come back and they're in pace with me, running next to me through the field. I had 1,000 crazy thoughts because none of this made any sense. Finally, I get to my car and I see both the cars were parked in different places with nobody in them. I refused to look behind me. If there hadn't been a voice, I would probably be a missing persons case. It got me out of there. Now that was freaky. That's scary, and I hope that person is grateful. I hope that person is grateful for that voice. Whatever that voice was definitely looking out for them. I don't know if that's a true story or not, but whoo, it was pretty well written. I enjoyed that. That gave me the heebie-jeebies. Alright, so that's going to be it for us today, guys. Let me know in the comments which story did you like the best? Which one did you think was the most believable? Did you think any were fake? Did you think they all were fake? Did you think any were real? Let me know. Let me know what you thought. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. That really, really helps. And if you haven't already, subscribe. Come hang out, and I will see you guys tomorrow for day 22. We are rocking this thing. See you tomorrow. Bye, guys.